But yeah, I think it's been like maybe 2 weeks or something like that, maybe 3. But we've got the 3 of us back together. Tony's back from pre-season. Kicked the season off with, I was going to say a decent result. I don't know, but it kind of slipped through.
That was alright. Not the worst, Quinny. Not the worst.
It was a good show, and I thought, it was the first Dundee United game I got to go to, and it was good seeing you. Actually, on the pitch and that again, it was good crack for the warm up and whatever. And I thought you played really well, buddy. If you don't mind me saying so,
I know. I think the Astro kills it. Anything I tried to do was just a bit laboured, but we nearly win. We got a red card, but we still nearly win, which is unfortunate that we don't. But do you know what? A point away to Kelly at Rugby Park isn't the worst, is it?
No, not at all. And I lost a little bit of footage from it, but see when you get subbed off, like for anyone who didn't catch this, when Tony gets subbed off, because it was like down to 10 men and all the rest of it, like you were deliberately like slow motion jogging, if you know what I mean.
That wasn't happy.
And it was all pretty funny, but I never got most of it on camera. And when I was editing, I was like, "Oh bugger, I missed that," because that was it was a good bit.
The ref wasn't happy.
Are you sure that went Tony at full pace after pre-season? Now he's still not quite up to.
That was me at full pelt.
Yeah. Slow motion jogging.
I seen him move.
Oh, it's been a minute though. It's good to have you back, Tony. We've got the band back together for the first time. How long's it been, Quinny? 6 or 7 weeks, maybe. It's been a while, right, since we last had you on, Tony. It feels like a while. How was pre-season training?
Hard, honestly, mentally and physically. Just it's tough. So I had to just take myself right out the equation and go. Any downtime I need for myself, I just need to really give it. And to be fair, it's been all right. It's a good time that we're back now with Europe on the horizon.
Yeah, right round the corner. How does that feel to be preparing for that? This must be a pretty good buzz around the club at the minute, around the fixtures the next couple of weeks.
Good because when I signed, that was the aim was to get top 6, and then when we got top 6, it was right. Let's get us into Europe, and the fact that we achieved that when it was probably 50-50 was really good. Just gave us an extra wee lift.
Definitely. And they've made some really good signings and some good movements in the transfer market as well. They're always in the news at the moment. Like there must be
some good players, some really good players, especially for this league. Boys that have done well in the league in the past. We've made some moves, and your boy produced the goods at the weekend.
Yep. I was actually at a Crystal Palace game. Was watching them in their last pre-season friendly against Montpellier, and I went in at half time, and I got the ping. I was like, he scored, come out of nowhere. I was like, my signal there was horrendous, so I wasn't really getting any. I couldn't really keep up with what's going on in the games, and yeah, when that came through, I was just like buzzing. Because the Uniques in there, obviously in the closed season, we were wondering whether or not he was going to re-sign or if he was going to be sent out on loan somewhere else. You do worry, and obviously as the unique holder, I was like, I was absolutely buzzing to see that he went back.
The pool we have.
That's it.
He's a brilliant player. Like
I can't believe how much
we signed him.
How cheap? I can't believe how cheap he went for. To be honest, for an international as well.
We were all surprised we signed him just in terms of. He's a very, very good player, Stish. For me, he can play at what level he wants, and that's not a lie. He can go and play whatever level he wants. Now it's obviously up to him to do that, I get that, but I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean,
one thing I found surprising watching is he was a lot deeper than I thought he'd play. I thought he would be a much higher up, closer to Fletcher, but he was much closer to the back. And
he loves getting on and dictating it, which is a really good thing for us. Because then you can get other boys near Fletch, but his quality just means that he can get the ball and pull strings. The old Pinocchio, just pulling strings from behind. That's what he does, and it sounds cliche, but he's brilliant at it. He's a talented boy. He's buying his unique card isn't after all, Stish.
Yeah, I'm looking to hold on to it. I was looking because obviously I've got the 2 now. I'm in the market to look for like that third one that then opens up the opportunity to go into D1 occasionally. So I've been sort of looking at it on Sorare data to see like what what kind of scores would I actually need to get near? Because obviously there's not a lot of competition in those divisions, but you still have to hit half decent scores. But I think with U23, if you get the right card at the right time, you might be able to pick up that. And I think I was lucky with the 2 that I've got. I think I paid just under 2 ETH for Levitt's Unique, which is unreal when you look at the prices of things now.
Really good.
And Lehan Bomb, I think I paid about 3 for, which at the time was, ETH was a bit higher. So in fiat terms was quite a bit more. But that one's come pretty good as well. He seems to have nailed on starting place in Saul's starting lineup. So now I'm just like, I think ideally I want like a forward, probably a unique forward, maybe America, because I've got Asia, I've got the Challenger. So I think U23 unique in like a good one in Champ is going to be well out of reach. But there's always that off chance that you pick up a decent young American maybe who hasn't quite broke into the team, someone that maybe like gets into the side next year, so that I can look at that. Then the only problem I do have is I've got one U23 goalkeeper, super at the moment, which is Gaten Cook, but he ages out at the end of this season. So if I don't get someone in now that I can use, then I'm going to have to go in the market for a U23 super goalkeeper, which we all know is...
What about like a Lennart Moser or somebody, because he's injured at the moment, but when he comes back for me, he's a guaranteed starter.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I think obviously I've got Etienne Green still. I'm not letting go of him. There's always that chance that Saint Etienne get promoted again and then he'll become useful next season. But if he doesn't, I am going to be in the market. I've got a couple of like speculative ones that I've picked up, but I don't expect them to do much like within the couple of years they've got left of there. The only other one is the Saul backup goalkeeper who has played a couple of games this season, but he's injured. I don't really know how long to expect him to be out for. But in the 2 games he played for Saul, he actually did quite well. And their number 1 goalkeeper, Yang Hanbin, is not the most solid of like goalkeeper options. So I wouldn't be surprised if he come back fit and become the number 1 next season. So there is still that outside opportunity, but yeah, definitely in the market for another unique. But I'm being quite strict with what I pay. I've been in a couple of bidding wars, and yeah, I'm trying to like not go above 4. If I can get someone for under 4 ETH at auction, because once people try and sell them on the secondary, the prices go crazy for the uniques, like the listing price at least. So yeah, I've been keeping an eye out. I haven't got lucky just yet, but I've definitely been in the bidding for a couple of players. We'll get there eventually. Hopefully I'll get one this season, maybe coming close to the end of the MLS season when people are trying to like flip out their America cards or something. But yeah, like, how are you guys getting on with obviously this big game week? Lots of leagues opening up. Lots obviously opened last weekend, but my head is going to explode. I don't know what to do.
I'm in trouble mentally. I don't even know what I want, to be honest. I can't explain to you. I'm buying somebody, selling 2 players, buying one, and then thinking, oh shit, I need a goalkeeper, and then selling 2 to buy a goalkeeper, and then I'm thinking, I've not even got a full team here. And to be honest, I've got 6 teams out. Have I got 6 teams out? Yeah, why is that not confirmed? Have Ghent not got a game this weekend? Is there no Belgian league this weekend?
Yeah,
should be, aye.
Oh, sorry, it was just a glitch. I've got 6 teams out. Challenger. I've went Challenger Rare. Challenger Pro.
Nice.
For the sheer fact I bought a Magic and Tissoudali. He's out for the season now.
Oh, you're joking. The season, I didn't actually catch. I watched that. I saw him go off and he walked off, so I didn't think it was...
Did you see the movement for the knee when he fell?
No, I didn't. Didn't see the actual challenge. Oh, that's horrendous.
He's out. So I've got a Magic. He never started the weekend, but he scored the weekend before. I just picked up his super rare, but I regretted it last Saturday when the team got announced. But now I think there's a wee bit more game time for him. And I got a Ryan Edwards. I done a deal with for Ryan Edwards, and then I've just threw a couple of Benfica players in there. I've actually not put Rafa in my team, which is stupid. But
what about you, Quinny? I know you've been You've been buzzing about these last couple of game weeks for months now, haven't you? Been building up to it. We saw your press conference, the big press conference.
Yep.
There was a good laugh on it. That's something that's something I wanted to do since I got this space. Is like for game weeks, just have a bit of banter with it all and that. So I'm hoping I can maybe kick that on this week. But it was good crack. But I had just like you're saying there. But I've been looking forward to these game weeks for ages. And right at the middle of last week, Charlie Mulgrew's unique came up, and it was on at like 3 a.m. or something like that. And I did just what you said. I was in the market. I had a number in my head, and it was at 3:30 is when it finished. And I got up at like 10 to 3, kind of scanned the bids and whatever. And I was like, okay, this is my budget. And I was like, can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just over 0.5 Ethereum at the time. And anyway, the bids went it took me out. And I'm really bad for just saying, fuck it, and doing another bid. Especially if it's something that I'm really after. But I kind of stuck to my guns and I was like, no, I'm not going to. And then the next morning, the guy that won the auction just sent me a trade offer for a rare Werner against it, which I thought was smashing. Now,
how much was that?
At the time, I think it was going for about 0.8. So the guy won. Can I hang on like numbers, I feel like? But I was like, I can get Mulgrew in, and I don't need to part with any ETH. Werner's not a big part of my plans anyway, but the kind of pain in the backside for it all is there's a lot of noise about Werner maybe getting a move now, and Sugar gets a move. That could be swish. So we'll see how it pans out. But it was really good to see, like, obviously Dundee United in action at the weekend with Tony. Obviously Levitt, you're unique, and obviously I've picked up that Mulgrew. And
how did Mulgrew get on scoring wise at the weekend?
Mate, that unique was hovering around 100 points until that goal went in. It was like banging, doing really well. The clean sheet bonus just wiped a fair amount of points off him because he played some good balls and stuff like that. He did okay. He was on the ball a lot, but the clean sheet loss at the end absolutely wiped him out. I think he I don't know if he did get booked, in fact, but maybe lost a duel. He was maybe on for a double and lost something as well at one point. But he was hovering around 100 points for a little bit. I was buzzing. And then Harks get sent off. Obviously, that totally kicked me in the goalies.
Maybe I recommended him to you. Yeah. Might have been me that recommended buying Harks.
That'll be fine. But once it'll be nice and fresh after the suspension. You know, he'll have fresh legs. He'll be
exactly. Give him a wee break.
He'll be eager to get back at it. But I'm actually with the prize pools and everything. With the changes we've had on Sorare over the last couple of weeks, like I was actually just listening to Josh Forth. He did his first stream earlier today. And I was looking again at and I know not everyone competes in these divisions, of course, right? But in Super Rare, Challenger, and America and Asia, the three kind of, let's say, unfancied regions, if you win it, you also get a star rare as well as like a good Super Rare.
Yeah, see that now. What? I didn't even clock that.
So I'm looking at like, with obviously like some of the cards we've just spoke about, some of the Celtic ones that I also run about with, like a good tier 1 super, if you win it, it could be somebody like a Maeda, it could be a Starfell, or, you know, there's a lot of decent guys it could be. And then the star rare itself that you'd get alongside that could be like Jota or Carter Vickers or Joe Hart.
That's
and
massive.
Then you're getting just under half an ETH for your trouble as well. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm reassessing what I'm kind of prioritising maybe this week, because I bought a lot of those cards to go All-Star, because that's what I always do. But for this game week, I'm thinking maybe I just try and throw all my guns at that and just cross my fingers and toes it comes off.
I'm throwing my guns at under 23 because I just think it's the easiest to win a prize.
It can be, yeah. I think if you've got the right cards.
Scoring in terms of
it's kind of, the low point, the points you need is lower, but you kind of need, you just need to have 5 players that are going to start and going to score well, basically, don't you? And I think that you do need
5.
Yeah, I think if you've got 5, this is what I was having a conversation with my mate about, because we were trying. He's got a Veerman rare, and I've got the super. Obviously, Veerman played in the week against Monaco. They all looked a bit tired towards the end of the game, but they got a good result there. They got to play the second leg next week, and they've got Emmen first game in the season. And from sort of scouring the internet,
is a problem.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of the sort of fans are expecting them to put out a second string against Emmen to save the legs.
I've got that problem with Yari.
Yeah.
With Sharon. They've got Sarang at the weekend.
Yeah.
Who's a lowly team, but will he play Thursday and be rested?
True,
expecting a goal and an assist against Sarang, no?
You'd hope so. These are the problems. But so I was looking at.
Game we play, lads.
This is it. I was looking at leaving. So I think at the moment, as things stands, I'm probably not going to use Veerman in my U23 Pro, which is like the main team that I try to put out, I think. But I didn't even clock. Obviously, U23 doesn't have that star rare added into the prize pool. But I do have a pretty strong challenger option in the super rare. So maybe I look at that, because I was looking at the specialist and the underdog, because the underdog's got a star rare with it as well. But obviously, you're going to be playing against more people because you don't need a goalkeeper to enter the underdog super rare. So you can play that without a goalkeeper. So anyone who's got 4 kind of ragtag supers can enter that and compete. I'll probably throw something in there because I'm sure I'll have. Where I've been playing U23 all through the summer, I've won quite a lot of like tier 2, tier 3 supers that aren't much use in those sort of pro divisions, but they're all right for these tournaments just to chuck something in. But I won't expect much. But yeah, looking at that now, what you've just said, Quinny, Challenger Europe, having that star in there. I mean, and even
that podium
the top,
doesn't it?
It really does make it look good, doesn't it? I might have to have a serious look at that.
Because what I started then having a look at, and I recommend people do this with any prize pools that they're targeting, right? But when I look at that, I think maybe my team could finish top 10 in All-Star, and then I'm kind of looking, what's kind of top 10 kind of paying out. And then I think equally in the region, I might be a wee bit better, so maybe I can get top 5. But then when I then went over and looked at like underdog and specialist, see like the quality of tier 1s is much better in Challenger than it is in All-Star or underdog or specialist or whatever.
Yeah,
especially this is from super rares I'm talking about. So I'm saying, look, wherever division you're in, obviously have a wee hunt about and try and compare it, because we all want to win the best stuff, So you need to know where the best stuff is sometimes, because it does change week to week depending on the rotation of the pools,
So
yeah,
what's
you're not
that?
wrong.
Oh, it's super rare you're talking. Super rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at the star pool in that, in the super challenger, that whole pool is like it's a lot of the big guns. Like you said, you've got
a lot of quality
Jota
there,
right at the top, Van der Voort, Carter Vickers, Heddle, Joe Hart, Vanaken, like Sesko, Arnestal.
Even
You take
Bayinda.
any single one of them. Take any
I
of
think
them.
you're taking Bayinda as a goalkeeper as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a serious look at that. That's just giving me a new headache, but a good one, I suppose, because I was looking at the underdog, but now I'm thinking, I've probably got a decent challenger.
Depending on what else you've got, the underdog has a unique and it's got 2 cards on the top as well. So depending on what you've got, if you fancy maybe it is underdogish cards and they've not got a chance in Challenger. But that's definitely something I wasn't expecting to deal with this game week either. Now I'm like, oh my god.
I'm looking at? I just remember
Specialist has got the unique and underdog's got the star rare.
Oh, is that what it is? Sorry.
Lads, what about Balotelli?
Balotelli?
I've got one. I've got unlimited.
I'm considering
I've not been keeping up to date with him. I don't know where he is, what he's up to. But I've got unlimited from last year.
He was at Demaspor last season, and he had a few good games. He scored 5 in one game, didn't he?
Yeah, one was at
near the end of the season. Yeah, he plays most games, if I remember rightly. I watched them a couple of times because I had a limited, and obviously have Muric in goal, so I did keep an eye on them occasionally. And he seemed to be playing most of the time I saw them. So unless they've signed someone else, because they lost that Yunus Akjun, who I expect he's gone back. Is it Galatasaray he was at? I think he was at Galatasaray, but I'm pretty sure his loan ended. But he's become like a starter for the national team, so I'd expect him to start playing for his parent club this season. But I haven't seen any major ins and outs in the Turkish league. I haven't followed it as much as some of the other things. When you go to look at some of your players and you notice that they're playing for another team and you completely missed it. I was sorting my teams out and I'm like, what club is that? I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can't even work out who he plays for now. But there was a couple of them a couple of like little it's lovely when you see that on a red cross, like a player that had the red cross and then suddenly they've got a fixture. You're like, hang about, where's he moved to? That's always nice. But I've definitely still got a few red crosses I need that to happen to, but not feeling too hopeful about any last minute transfers now on the players I've got. I think I was looking at Elias Cobalt. He was at Parma. He was being linked to Feyenoord, and I was like, please let that one go through, because I've got a super rare of his that's been like completely useless for the last season and a half. But then they've made a couple of signings since. I don't think that one's going to happen. You never know. There's still like a lot of transfers floating about. Any transfers either of you two are looking?
From now to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Surely.
There shouldn't.
I need Juba. That big idiot better get a club soon, or he's getting a boot up the arse.
Yeah. That's true. I'll tell you,
he was like cut off, wasn't he?
What is that?
He was like cut off like when all the Russia-Ukraine stuff happened, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I picked up that Xander Clark when all of those rumours were floating out about him going to Stoke, and nothing's happened with him. I don't know what's going on there.
He went to MIA. I don't know what's happened.
There's like no news.
He's going to Stoke as a backup.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect of him, but I think that knee-jerk reaction signing that I made that day is going to cost me. Don't think. Another one that cost me actually was the news of Maduka Okoye being like, they made it public that he was going to be the number 2. His price went from 3 ETH down to like 1.
I seen that the other day. How much did you pay for him, Stish?
I was lucky because I got on him a bit early, so I paid 1.5. So I'm not heavy down on him. But
why he went there as number 2 if he was playing every week?
Yeah, I was surprised. And he had a pretty good pre-season from what I saw as well. Like the games he played, done really well. A lot of the like Watford blogs and Twitter accounts were like really talking him up as like looks to be number 1. Was feeling pretty confident about that. But I don't know. I don't think I'm desperate for that ETH back, so I might just sit on it because he's still got a few years of U23 as well. So if he does get in through the season, like by all accounts, it's pretty close. He could get in if he has they'd probably use him in the cup. So hopefully he can prove himself in that. And, if an injury gets picked up or anything like that, you never know. COVID, we've still got floating about. So he might get a couple of games. Hopefully he can stake a place. But yeah, I think that was a bit disappointing. Tony, you're always in the market for players. You've mentioned you're looking for a U23 forward. He's always in the market. U23 forwards.
The timing's bad because I signed the big boy for Alkmaar, who we play tomorrow, Pavlidis, but I've put in a few bids for him in the last couple of months. And last night, I was going to spend the money on either David Neres and just sack under 23 or get Ramos, try and build a 4 out of 5 Benfica stack, and then I get a good deal on Pavlidis, so hopefully he plays at the weekend. I'll use him, and then I won't use him against us. And then from then on, hope he kicks on. I hope he has a stinker tomorrow. Tries to run by me, he's getting booted. And that's that. I've also got Ueda, but I jumped the gun on that. Cercle Bruges are just too up and down.
I like Ueda. I think he could come good in Belgium, but Cercle Bruges are mince. I've had a few strikers of that team. I had an Ugbo and I had somebody else. And like, your strikers can score goals at Cercle Bruges, but they're not going to get great AA typically. And it's just but I think Ueda's a player. Like,
I think he could come through, to be honest. And they beat Anderlecht at the weekend. And he started 2 games, but he said 235s. I mean, that's no use to anybody.
Nah.
No use.
It's painful, isn't it, when your forwards do that?
You want to hear a bit of pain?
Go on, of course.
Go for it.
I sold Smolov the other week.
Before he popped?
Sold him for 3.345. I know he's not much above. I've missed out on a 97 and a 92.
Yeah, he's having a bit of a time out there at the moment, isn't he? I
knew he was going to, but I just can't resist a profit. I'm hungry for profit. Lads, I can't resist a profit. I'm addicted to making profit, regardless if the fiat's down or whatever. See, as long as I see a profit, it gives me joy.
Every move is up then. You're doing alright.
And my gallery's doubled or something since, which is fair, but I just need... My teams are a lot stronger as well, but Smolov would have been beautiful, because I had a decent enough challenger team during the week, and my striker never played, came off the bench and got 20, so Smolov would have added 77 points to that. 77.
Yeah, it's
That's what
gutting.
it is,
I
isn't
entered a really like punty U23 D2 this week because I had the Uniques playing, and I didn't have a goalkeeper, but I had a look, and I think there's only one goalkeeper playing in this midweek. Nicholas Hedel at Rapid Vienna. He's the
Right.
only U23 goalkeeper that's likely to play this midweek, so I thought I'll stick a four-player U23 in and stuck the sole goalkeeper in who I knew wasn't going to play. But I got like Seo Young Woo hit like a 92, and then Veerman hit a 92. But then Jesus Ferreira started on the bench last night. I was gutted.
Why? He's flying.
I know. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I
Asia
stuck
and
my phone
America
on.
do that a lot.
I don't get it. I mean, the only sense I can make of it, right, and I don't know how soon this is, Quinny, you might know better than me, but there's a lot of hype surrounding a All-Star match coming up where they're going to play like the Liga MX All-Stars. Is it something like that?
That happened in Asia as well. What?
Yeah.
Away you go. Makes
It's
me
ridiculous.
feel sick. Ridiculous. Play your best players. Yeah, I'm hearing Asian teams playing their players against Tottenham for 45 minutes in a friendly and maybe not playing them at the weekend. Play them in the league. That's where your bread and butter is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I keep seeing... So I turned my phone on last night. I woke up in the middle of the night. I thought, let's see if Ferreira's banged a goal in for me. And I looked at the scores and I'm like, he's a sub. And I'm like, what? How? And then I've turned the phone on. I put like Bet365 and got the stream up. And he came on at half time and he managed to get an all around of 8. Had a couple of shots on. He took a couple of corners that like resulted in shots on target. So, you get the attempted assist. So he done okay, but yeah, I was having a little look. I don't think I'm going to win that division, but top 6 gets a card, and I'm still hopeful that it's all on your man Levitt tomorrow night. He's still in there. He keeps me in with a chance. If he's playing tomorrow and he bags a nice all-around score and hopefully a little cheeky decisive, then I might finish in that top 6 and bag a card, hopefully. But yeah, there's been a few little midweeks like that of late, hasn't there, where there's not been many fixtures. And I saw I think Pires won the U23 division a couple of weeks ago with a score of about 150 points or something ridiculous.
Madness, man.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that, but I know the jealousy's ripping out me. That's a mad thing.
I think someone finished 3rd in that division with like 50 points as well. Like someone won a card with like something mad. And I thought you could just start a rare card in that under 23 D2 that week. You might have won something.
I was sitting before the game at the weekend at 12 o'clock and I could just see Tani with a clean sheet. And obviously Sugioka ends up with a clean sheet. 10 minutes to go, concede. And I'm gutted because my team's been okay, but still I'm at maybe 110 points. Bonchol scored, so I'm at like 250 with Yari to play for Sharon. I'm thinking to myself, get 60 points and it'll get me right up there. I think I ended up, how many points did I get? So I was on 255 with Yari to play. You get a 33. 33. What chance you got? What?
That's gutting. I hate that.
33. I was
gutted.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bonchol, he was a good pickup, wasn't he? He's been great. I've got him as well.
He's flying.
He started on the bench as well this week, though, didn't he? He started the last game.
Yeah, I never played him, thankfully. I played Sin Jin Ho instead, but I had a few options. I only had one team. I think he'll play this weekend, which is safe. It's a safe
they got
bet.
an easier fixture as well.
Have they? So Jinky should be in the under 23 team.
I've put him in my under 23 D2, but another good thing about him is their fixture opens up, so we'll see before the game week starts if he's starting or not. So you can take him out. I think it's Friday morning, midday or something like that. So like, or 11 o'clock kickoff. So we'll know as the game week's opening if he's going to start or not. So be ready to do a bit of a shuffle if you put him in.
Who have they put? Are they at home?
They are at home against Gimcheon, who are like bottom. So looking at Sorare data, they've got them down as they've got it down as a fairly even match in terms of the betting odds, but his expected score for a midfielder against that opposition is 64. So it's a really good, favourable fixture for a midfielder. And, you know, like he's
Plus a
on
wee
set
decisive
pieces.
gets you to 89.
Yeah. He's on set pieces. He's on corners. I've got him as my
I think I'm
captain
going
if
to
he's
sell
going to start.
Yari.
With
Yeah?
Yari as well,
That
yeah?
confident?
Yeah, I think,
I don't know who I'm going to put as my skipper, to be honest.
yeah.
Obviously,
Going back to Ferreira, though, like when I was watching yesterday, I thought Dallas were pretty poor going forward. And I haven't watched much of them this season, but they didn't have much. They didn't have much to offer going forward until, you know, those final third passes were just very lacking there. I don't know if you've watched much of them this season, Quinny. I know you get your head around quite a bit of MLS, don't you?
Yeah, I've not actually seen much of Dallas this year, but when you were saying that, I was just thinking that the weekend was a real. It was a really weird weekend, that first one back there, because as much as there was a lot of teams playing and stuff like that, like we're talking about Perez taking advantage of a midweek situation, the weekend there didn't really, outside of Zenit, have any like dominant scores, you know, where it was like a couple of teams all kicked off in a big way. It was only really Zenit, and then there was odds and ends of some players here and there or whatever. And you know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around all these prize pools for the coming week, because like the goalkeepers coming in and out of like under 23, I think that's a big part of how low the scores have been in that division. And so I've not seen too much of Dallas in particular. Sorry to come back to the actual thing, but I do feel that a lot of the scores in general, I think we were expecting some teams to go and welly out a bunch of high scoring matches. That didn't really happen. So it feels like maybe there's just a wee letdown over the weekend in general.
Yeah, be interesting to see. I think obviously the big one in U23 this season is going to be Salzburg for me, and they had an awful game last weekend. So when that happens, you know, it lets in other clubs and like random players who maybe, you know, a lot of the big classic massive card holders have probably got a decent little Salzburg stack just that they can just enter. I was looking at like YNWA the other day because I saw his like name on one of the league tables, and I thought, I wonder like how he's getting on. And I noticed he hasn't won many rewards the last few weeks, and I think I put that down to a lot of his cards are probably like Champ Euro, which hasn't really kicked off properly just yet. But when Champ Euro kicks off, he's one of those card holders that you just see in the sort of like in the cards, winning 12 cards a week, winning all the top divisions, because he's got all of those like premium U23 players who also play in Champ, whereas he's maybe not as heavy on the sort of challengers and the Austrian leagues and all of that a lot of us pick up for a bit of value. And I think like we've benefited from that. A lot of players that don't maybe play Champ as heavy, because I'd put myself in that category of someone who has some good Champ cards, but I can't really compete in that division. I can enter a team, but I very rarely win a card in that division, because of players like YNWA who can field a Liverpool stack or a Bayern stack or a Real Madrid stack. And I think those are the kind of players who probably do have that Salzburg stack for U23. And because Salzburg haven't really hit the ground quite as heavy as we expected, but they've got a fixture against Hartberg this weekend, and I'd expect them to turn them over after last week. So it'll be interesting to see what effect that has on the tables, especially in U23, but possibly in Challenger as well. Especially now you just mentioned that on the podcast, Quinny, on the old supers.
Well, I made a wee list of, because when I was looking at this prize pool stuff before we all come on this call, I ran through all the fixtures, and just at a glance, I just tried to find all the kind of top heavy fixtures for this game week. So Salzburg, as you say, at Hartberg's a really good fixture. CSKA Moscow are pretty much the only decent big Russian team that are at home. PSV have got a good fixture, of course, with Emmen. You could say Ajax have got a good fixture as well, but it's it's Ajax really. Anderlecht, Zagreb and Benfica all have decent fixtures, but they've all got big question marks over the squad. And then PSG away to Clermont, opening game of the season. If you actually look in the German league, like it's tough. It's the whole German division is tough fixtures in the opening week. You know, Bayern have Frankfurt, Leverkusen have Dortmund, Leipzig have somebody hard. You know, it's Wolfsburg and Bremen play each other. There's lots of tight games there. So a lot of those teams that I've got here, like CSKA Moscow, I don't know if they've got much in U23 outside of like some of the cult heroes, you know. But like,
only, I think.
yeah,
Diviv, yeah. I think they got
Diviv.
one midfielder as well, but he might have aged out. Thinking about it now, have to check that out.
Salzburg, PSV, Ajax, Anderlecht, Zagreb, Benfica are all under new entries, you know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I've got a couple of Ajax players. I think like I've been sort of following them pre-season because of watching to see which players come back from injury and who's playing in the friendlies. So I've got Anthony. I've got him in my U23 Pro as my captain at the moment. He played on the weekend in the Super Cup final, and he scored. Came off, but no, not injured. They just subbed him out. But he looked pretty sharp. The main thing for me with Ajax this season is the midfield. They've got so many good midfielders this season. I know, like Quinny, you've mentioned Kudus on your platforms and on the podcast before, and he looks a player. His pre-season has been impeccable. I hold Kenny Taylor, who's had a pretty good pre-season as well, but I figure that with a player like Taylor, you've got to look at Klaassen and probably Kudus as well, actually, and Berghaus as well. It's like you've got a lot of players to try and keep happy in that squad at the moment, and you know, with Brobby there now and all these other players kind of coming back into fitness, it's going to be really interesting to see how they line up the first couple of games of the season. And I think a lot of people are going to be trying to figure out what their starting lineup is, but yeah, they're going to be an interesting watch this weekend, I think, just to see what happens there. I don't know if any of you have hold any Ajax cards or are keeping an eye on the situation there.
I'm just trying to watch for when they might look weak, and maybe I've got a good like that list. Basically, is me thinking who's got a better fixture than Celtic away to Ross County. That's me. Who's maybe in a better.
That's not an easy one.
I know it's not an easy one, but it's one that I fancy.
Celtic. Yeah, Celtic should be fancying themselves for every. But I mean, away to Dingwall, it's tough.
Aye. I've seen that in the chat to guys. I was like, you don't get where Ross County is. It's like rural, like you know, it's a real drive up there, you know, kind of thing. So and then the stadium's a bit different and all the rest of it. You'll know better than me, of course, playing in the place, but that's no a gimme. But
I think something we've not really discussed on the podcast is like the scoring matrix changing. Has that affected any of your decision making? Because does it come into play this weekend or was it last weekend?
No, 290.
Game week 300 is the first
300.
One. Right, so we've still got another couple of weeks, another couple of game weeks before it comes into
3
play.
weeks, maybe.
Have you looked at any of your players? Because one thing I've noticed is I've got, obviously we'll go to like Osmar, who he plays as a centre back, but his card is midfield. And from what I could make out, some of the sort of like high level points that came out of that was defensive midfielders are probably going to be a little bit better off for like making more defensive actions. So I had a little look at him, and it does improve his scores a fair bit. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how like those, because for me, I thought personally like defensive midfielders score pretty well on the matrix usually because they pick up those triple doubles, double doubles that you don't necessarily get as a forward.
It could be hard for them to get into the 70s without a decisive. Like the really good ones, but they get in 61, you know, without a decisive, you know, because that's like 30 points on AA, you know, if you think about it. So it's kind of like they can do well, but it's, you know, how well can they ever do is the kind of thing. So maybe they're a wee bit more 70 capable.
It's a good shout. I'm going to have a little look now. I've got another player like that plays in that sort of position that picks up really good AA scores. I won him at the end of last season. His name's Al Hassan Yusuf. And I'm just going to have a little look at what his scores are going to do because he's picked up some unreal AA in the last few weeks. I think he got a 41 all around on the first game of the season against Mechelen. Let's have a look what he does to his scores, actually.
The big winner I have in my matrix, in my gallery from the matrix change is probably Trippier. And the kind of annoying thing about Trippier is he's not got too much sample size for that being at Newcastle, but he's on set pieces and stuff. He's the captain, or obviously he's a good right back anyway, and blah blah blah. The rest of it. His 4 is 0.3 for a rare, which is decent. He's not getting any limiteds. I don't know what the super rares are kind of knocking about for, but I think
for
a rare 0.3.
That's good.
That's good because it gives you that differential as well, doesn't it? If the supply's low.
He plays 90 minutes every week, I think. You know, I don't think they sub him. They've not got Europe. You know, if he's fit, there's no reason. You know, he doesn't play. And I say he's on set pieces and stuff. So if he can get a couple of assists over the season, corners and free kicks and whatever, I think he'll be a
good
banger.
one for my Ulster. I actually need to sort some teams out, to be honest. I'm just going into game weeks blind. Do you have your teams lined up weeks in advance or no?
I kind of have for this stuff because I've been building the gallery towards being really good now. But it's just kind of like an outline. So like I've been kind of running this far into the future and it's Sorare data and laying them all out and then going, right, what's kind of looking likely to be a missing piece? Oh, it's a mid. Oh, it's a forward. Or and then you're trying to predict the future. But then when you get here, you're starting from scratch and going, right, what was I thinking and now what do I think?
Yeah, you need some options.
Yeah.
I kind of sometimes piece them together just to see what I've got or to see. But normally if I'm looking far ahead, it might be like, just to see if I can compete in some of those like random midweeks where there's not many fixtures. I'll look maybe a few weeks or months ahead to those and be like, if I pick up a couple of cheap limiteds now, that week comes round, and even just to like maybe just flip the limiteds that like I've picked up that I knew would like be useful that week, especially if it's goalies like this. If I'd have looked at this week that's had that we're having now, to pick up like a Nicholas Heddle, maybe like just pre-season, knowing that this fixture week was coming. I mean, his price must have doubled over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, because probably a lot to do, firstly, because he started the first couple of games. So that gives you a bit of an indicator that he's going to be a U23 keeper, hopefully for the season. But also this week, where he is literally the only starting U23 keeper. And, you know, we've seen it recently with some of these weeks where you can win a card just having 5 starters pretty easily. And I think there's another week. Is it next week or the week after where he will be the only goalkeeper starter again? So it'll be interesting to see if people try and pick him up, because there's a few people in that U23 division that do have him. And, you know, if he keeps a clean sheet, it's going to be hard to catch them, I think, if they've got 4 outfield players that started as well. So, yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on Rapid Vienna. Is it tonight? Especially, I think it's tonight, isn't it?
Today's Wednesday. I don't know if that's not a Thursday game. But I was going to say, especially after the matrix changes, because goalkeepers that can even just not concede over 2 goals will almost feel like a clean sheet, almost in the new world, maybe, you know, because a lot of these guys in Austria that are like outside the top 3 teams, they're on for conceding 3 or 4 goals a game every so often, you know. Same with maybe the lower end of the Belgian league and the Dutch league. So to have that in U23, you know, a big thing that I think we'll see with goalkeepers isn't necessarily like the high scorers, of course, will get a bit higher, but in terms of like when we're winning tier 3s and tier 2s, it's your goalkeeper. Oh, thank God he kept a 42, you know. Whereas before 42s, when they cut it, it was 58. So you'd have maybe needed to scratch out without the clean sheet, you know, or 55. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It'll be interesting. I think. I'm not expecting massive changes. I think it's mostly the fullbacks that are going to like benefit on like not losing as many points for like losing possession. I think that was like the big takeaway that I made from the matrix change. The rest of the positions from what I've looked at are not a massive change, maybe a couple of points over the last 15 in their averages. But Trent Alexander-Arnold was like 7 points better off, right? Players like that who put crosses in all game, they're going to be the ones. I think, Trent holders will be very happy with that change.
And
to
then
the
forwards
matrix.
like Tony that are intercepting balls and putting the press on.
Well,
that as well, yeah.
I hope that there's a big change for my scores. My all round was alright the weekend again.
Yeah.
It was how did you change your new matrix? So my all round was 48 and 49, no big difference. My all round's not too bad, by the way.
Yep.
Under the radar.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, 13.5 all around I make it. 13.9.
That's not the worst for a striker if I start throwing in a couple of assists and end up the new Van Aken.
The new
Tony
Van
de
Aken.
Ketelaar.
Penalty area entries were good to you.
Were they?
Do you know what's going to surprise you, Tony? Talking about this matrix change and like, if you toggle the matrix scores on and off, you'll be surprised to find out that over the last year, your average actually drops under the new matrix.
I know, that's mad, eh?
By 1 point. It's only like one. It's not a big change, but you'd have thought you'd have been better off. But that's over the last year. Maybe if we We like narrow it down to like
it's
maybe
because
the last 6 months.
I think there's one game where
Over the last 6 months it goes up, but if you zoom
Yeah.
out over the full year, so the current playing style, you're better off
6 months
By-
it drops.
1.5 points
Ah.
average.
By the way, my last 3 months I've got a 12 AA.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
solid.
That's
Let's
not
have a
bad whopping bit, is it?
No, not at all.
I've only had 4 games, which is got a 13 AA over the last 1 month. And that was on a plastic pitch. Take that all day. Make me feel confident.
Do you know another thing I thought about that as well? Is see, right as you guys were finishing your warm up, they turned the sprinklers on.
We should have
All
got
over
a
the pitch.
flamethrower and tried to dry it out. Tried to wet it. It was the
but-
driest pitch in the world.
Aye. I thought it
Flamethrower
was
would have
a bit
made
cheeky.
that wetter.
that's horrible
Shocking.
landing on that fake grass when it's dry. Like it rips
See,
your
the
skin
thing
to
is, though,
pieces.
seeing
doesn't
the
it?
winter, they're quite good, but seeing the summer, they're a waste of time because how dry they are.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean,
not great
the
at
ball
all.
must really zip across them when they're wet. That
Right, and
those
when they're dry,
pitches.
it just stays. Honestly, the amount of times you fall over the ball and you think, am I just a bad footballer?
like how soft
Just
are
doesn't
they?
work.
Like, because I've played on stuff like that
Rock
here,
solid.
but I just wonder if like at a professional level, do they like have different like padding
No.
underneath it?
Some are like Tiger Tough and they're not too bad. But the one at the weekend, honestly, they've been better playing in gravel.
Oh, do you feel the difference in your knees after the game?
I think a lot of older boys do, yeah. I'm not too bad. Like, you do get, like, for instance, my calf's been sore all week, and it's no coincidence after we play in a AstroTurf, I've got a ball in my calf.
Mm.
No point
Yeah.
complaining, is there? But in the winter,
Do a
they'll
lot
be
of the
good, to be
players-
fair to them. Yeah, a lot of older players couldn't play 3 games in a row in Astro.
That's mad.
brutal.
Something to consider, isn't it? But like, so that their side, their players who play on it week in, week out, do you think they just become accustomed to it, or do you think their
Yeah,
old players
and
are
they
probably going to
probably-
struggle?
They probably struggle when they go to grass for the change.
Yeah, I suppose it's like racehorses in that sense, isn't it? It's like some horses are good on soft, some are good on hard. Same with footballers and
And
athletes.
they know how it plays. They know how the pitch plays, so it's an advantage to them for me.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'd agree with that.
Gain every advantage you can get, then it's smart, isn't it?
Do they train on Astro as well?
Yeah, every day on the stadium. I'd struggle to sign for a team that's Astro every day. I just wouldn't enjoy it as much, I don't think.
Dundee United's pretty good, up in St Andrews. That's not too shabby.
We've got a lovely wee setup, a lovely coffee shops everywhere. Nice gaff up there in St Andrews.
I'm going to try and get up this season. Quinny's beat me to it, but I'm going to have to make the.
We should have an end product live night out. Just stream it in the boozer or whatever, and we'll just put them.
Yeah, we could do
Put
that.
a camera there. Put a camera there, and us 3 sit round the table, and we just talk about Sorare in the pub or in the restaurant, wherever you want to do. And if anybody wants to join the live stream,
Look at that business. They've got the business head on already. Love
that's
to
us
hear
get
it.
a sponsor for a stream.
Because
Yeah.
obviously, Stish has got the Levitt. I've got a Mulgrew. The guy that's got your unique is like a Dutch YouTuber. And
He
then
messaged me last night, actually.
John, you have just signed a left back from Turkey. Have you met the boy yet? Bahek
Aye.
or something? John Nellis picked up his unique off the back of that news for about 0.6 or something like that.
Did he?
His unique was going dirt cheap, yeah.
He's just big
Wow.
nurse. I need to ask him for it. So we can get the Dundee United. We should just put all else together and try and get a goalkeeper and just get a Dundee United stick. I'll get one.
Aye.
And we'll just
you
try and
big
win the
Edwards?
Unique League. Oh, fuck. I've not got enough money. He's no bad on it. Big Edwards. Is there any unique? How do you check and see if there's a unique?
I
If
guess
you're on
if you
Sorare
click
data,
Dundee
then-
United and then filter by like the rarity or something, scarcity.
Yeah, that's what I would do. When you're on actual
Doesn't
Sorare,
matter.
just search the club and then filter all cards to unique.
Oh,
Clubs
on
don't
the
do
actual
that.
so rare.
Yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I've been doing for Celtic ones when I've been hunting for them, like supers or whatever. But I've been doing really well in the transfer window. Edwards is on auction now. A day and 15 hours he finishes.
What, unique?
Yep,
I need
Who's
to
in the bidding?
free up some.
nobody. Well, there's one bid on it. It'll just be a placeholder. Jorizito fast reply to legit offers. Just a mad trader.
Yeah,
guy.
look, of the 4 uniques that are available, between me and you, Quinny, we own half the supply.
And then
I've got
Bastatenji.
Levitt. You've got Mulgrew. Oh no, and yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't realise that was a. Oh yes, Tony on sale there.
Should
5 ETH. We should do a crowdfund, Tony, for you.
let's go.
Get a crowdfund going to like
all the big
buy
hitters.
Tony is unique.
All the big hitters. So the fourth one must be Ryan Edwards then.
Yeah.
So we'd have to wait for the goalkeeper to come round then, and we'd have the unique stack.
So when does that run out? Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Bad timing that.
So
Why did they run out
7 hours ago? 7 hours ago tomorrow. So at 10 a.m.
What do you think he'll go for? Like point what?
Mate, I don't know. I think.
What's his limited to go for?
These 4 scores together is not too bad. Do you think that could win a prize if we put a keeper in there?
I think the unique one's difficult, isn't it? At this time of year, we might have been all right, but as soon as those Champ Euros open up, but who knows? Like maybe on the right week, if you get a massive result and win 4-0 or something, you could do. You could win the Challenger Unique or something.
2 or 3-0, no?
I reckon so. I think so long as you're not competing with Liverpool or Bayern stack, like Nanzo's got like all the AC Milan, hasn't he? So if you're not competing with him and you're not competing with YNWA,
Challenger.
Bang him in Challenger, you might actually be all right on the right weekend. So long as, I mean, there must be someone out there who's got all the Ajax ones or all of the Bruges or something like that.
Why is the badge on my one different to the other two as well?
I was thinking that maybe you signed in January, so maybe it was just a different like picture or something. So I kind of looked at them like yours is a bit colour, and I was like, oh yeah, you signed
a bit more orange, isn't it? Yeah, a bit darker.
Yeah, very orange.
Did you do your press day on the same day or not?
No, probably not.
You might have had your photo taken by a different photographer.
Why is he wanting 5 ETH? Like, what does he expect?
He thinks like I was messaging him for it. He's like, oh yeah, no, Tony's a mad cult hero, does a podcast and a player and all that. Loves it, mate. The Supers are cheap either.
Do you know what I call this? When you list your card up for like 5 ETH or whatever, I call it whale baiting. Because I've listed my Levitt for like 25 ETH just to see if someone would buy it randomly. Like, you know it's probably not worth 25, but if someone with loads of money comes on the platform and wants to scoop up a decent 23 under 23, he might just go and buy that, and I'll be like, I'll take 25 ETH for it. Thank you very much. And you've seen the odd sale like that go.
I would probably pay him an ETH for it, but that's it. I wouldn't give much more because what's the point? I mean,
you're a privileged man, Tony. Sat here moaning about the price of your own unique card.
I know, but I'm half going to stop myself here and say I'm shite. Kidding me? You're having a stinker.
I think 5 ETH is a pretty fair on the secondary market for a unique. 5 ETH is like pretty standard, like quite a lot. The way people list uniques is nuts. They're always about 3 times what they paid for them on the open market, I find. So I reckon you could definitely like haggle him down if you wanted.
It's just when you've got a unique, like you'll know this, especially with your like rookie and stuff like that. But if you are to sell it, you definitely don't want to feel bumped. If you know what I mean, you don't want to sell.
Yeah.
Like if you've got Tony's unique and you're like that, right? I'll sell it to you for 1.5, and then Tony goes and rips a couple of hunters. You know, how raging would you be? You're like, bastard. Should I?
Yeah.
You know. So it's one of those ones. I think you're just always worried about giving up.
I think it's so hard to get a good one, isn't it? It's so hard to get a good unique at a good price. So when you do get one, it's really hard to let go of it. And I think that I've got them 2 half decent, and it's like I've had some pretty like big offers for both of them, but I won't replace them. Like I can't get another unique.
Profit offers.
I think like my Lee Hand Bomb, I had a 10 ETH. Someone offered me 10 for that, and that was tempting. I was like, but then I thought it's so hard to buy another one. Like I said, I'll get in those bidding wars with people. Anyone that looks half decent, and the way that the unique auctions come around, they only really auction them when they've got nice, all like average scores. So a lot of people look at it and think, like when I bought Levitt and Lee Hand Bomb, I don't think their like average scores looked that attractive. I think I got in at a good time, but now most of the ones that get listed, they always look really attractive. And it's like a U23 with an all-around on average score of like 62 or something. Anyone with an ETH balance that is competing at that level is after it. So it's just hard. So if I did sell Lee Hand Bomb for 10, I'd probably spend the next year trying to get someone else for like 3 or 4, and I just wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I may as well just hold on to it and use it for like 5 years.
And you might get another offer for 10 ETH next year because he's still U23 and you'll have another season under his belt.
Yeah, and the way things are going, you never know. Like if the reward pools keep getting better and better, and like if they keep throwing these little unique prizes in the super rare division, then that unique might actually help me get close to winning a unique. So that's been like on all of these cards I've had big offers on, like the Veerman as well. It's like in money terms, it's hard to justify the price you're being offered for it, but in terms of like yield. Like, if I use that card for like a season, I might win 8 ETH worth of cards. Like, I always look at my Osmar. I massively overpaid for my first Osmar Super. I think I paid 1.5 ETH at the time, which was quite a bit. I think ETH was like a couple of grand. So
2 or 3 grand.
It was quite a few grand. Well, it was a lot for the Osmar Super. But
you got Osmar when I got Key, didn't you?
Yeah, we had this chat before. But I was looking at it, and he's won me something like 6 ETH worth of rewards. So if you look at it like that, it's like it's actually not that bad that you overpaid because you've got that yield back still. And that's kind of where I see with these now. It's like even when they're not U23s, I'll still be able to use them in Challenger and Asia and All Star. So I think it's just going to hold on to them now at the prices I got them for. But
my Keys helped me win 2 ETH worth of stuff. So this isn't
that's
so
it.
bad.
That's all right, isn't it?
But that key cost me 2.5 grand, 1.6 Ethereum it was at the time.
Yeah, that's not bad at all, is it?
2,800 euros.
A few more seasons out of him as well, I reckon, in that division.
Yeah, but that kind of comes back to the Mulgrew thing. But like I say, normally I'm like, if it's somebody I want, that's what happened with that key. I was like, he was on the back at his L5 was 72. He's looking to be in like a Cecilia type guy, and I'm like, I need to get key. I need to get him. And I just kept going one more bid, and that's where I ended up. And tried not to do that with Mulgrew, and maybe I've gave a wee bit much on the trade on it. But yeah, like when some of those guys like the Osmar winning you as much as he has, like some of those guys when they're going to plug in and they're going to make a difference. Like the same way your hand bomb. If you don't have him, what are you missing out on? While somebody else who has got him now, what are they pulling out? So there's all these kind of sliding door situations that always run through your head when it comes to buying and selling. It's like, what did I do?
I got what I believe to be like the craziest swap deal ever in the week. Someone sent me an offer. I had the Reece Williams, like the Liverpool centre back. He's like 20 years old. He's on loan at Blackpool. His rare's going for about 0.15. I had his super, and someone sent me an offer of a Marko Ilic super rare. So he's the Kortrijk goalkeeper. He's 24. He's just aged out of under 23s. But this guy had bought that super rare for 2 ETH back in Feb when ETH was a bit higher as well. And I think my Reece Williams I've been sat on since he became as part of a bundle I bought ages ago. And he hasn't been much use to me since, but he started for Blackpool the other day. He scored a 51. Probably going to get a bit more game time there and should have a better season. But a straight swap for him, considering his rare's going for 1.15, I'd put his super at maybe a 0.7 at best, right? A punchy 0.7. And Ilic is a goalkeeper super that opens up another D2 entry for me in Challenger when I'm using Kook in my under 23. I just thought that was a no-brainer. I snapped his hand off for it. I accepted it. I did a quick search just to make sure Ilic weren't injured or something that I didn't know about because he played on the weekend. And as soon as I saw he wasn't injured, I was like, I'm having that straight away. Another goalkeeper super who does play versus someone who's out on loan. I don't think from watching Reece Williams is going to have the pace to play it in the Prem. Personally, I think he might just become one of those players who becomes a good Championship defender.
I'm looking at your trade and valuation on that day. 1 ETH. This guy 0.38, right? Ethan floors now 1.2 for the keeper, 1.1 for Williams. So you've on the face of it, even though it's opened your gallery up, the stats back up that you've had the better deal anyway.
Yeah, it just felt like a good deal. And I keep looking at it and I'm like, have I missed something? Because that just felt too good.
Well, actually, why is his floor at 1.2 if his floor for the rares at 0.7? That's
That's
not
what I
even
thought.
double the price.
I think he's had a good start to the season as well. Like his last couple of games, he scored pretty well, and like by all accounts, had a massive performance in the last game as well. But I think because it's not traded for a few months, his price is the last one that sold was back in June for an ETH.
I'm going to offer somebody for him. I'm going to try and be cheeky and offer a Yari Versharan for him. There you go.
For Illich.
Yeah, why not?
If you need a goalkeeper, I mean, yeah, he's in his current price range. It looks like he's up to. I think goalkeepers are just getting more expensive anyway, aren't they? Now that has been implemented, the no commons. You notice less entries, don't you? In a lot of the divisions, so people are after goalkeepers right now.
Beautiful.
Oh,
it is, isn't it?
It's clicked me. There's no chance he allows that trade. He's a dodgy man, him.
Man, I couldn't believe it. I was like, could not believe my luck when that came through. Like Reece Williams is a U23 who probably will play every game. If you need a defender, he's probably not a bad one to pick up. But to let go of a goalkeeper super who is probably going to start every game and is in amongst the, he's not going to become an international goalkeeper anytime soon, but he's in the international squad, and he's 24. Yeah. If he stays at Kortrijk, he's probably going to be the number one for years. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not an amazing team, but they're not awful either. They should stay in the division most seasons. Kind of like a mid-table team. 6
or 7 clean sheets a season. And then maybe he saves out a penalty. And look, we're optimistic here on the end product pod. We like somebody will twist the stats in his favour.
He's got an L40 of 49. I'll take that for a goalkeeper.
Bad at all.
Same.
Not bad at all, lads. That's it. No, good. I think I'm going to need to shoot, lads. The dinner's no making itself, and I'll get shouted at if it's not made.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute blast getting back together. Tony, good luck for Thursday, mate. I hope he's come out with a wee 1-0 or a wee 2-0 or something like that. I'm sure me and Stish will be watching. Good luck, mate.
Oh yeah.
Cheers, lads. Appreciate that.
Give Dylan a kick up the arse. Tell him we need the big 100 from him on the week.
I'll be passing every ball to him for you, Stish. Don't you worry.
Get on the end of his passes as well. We want a goal from you this week, mate.
No, I'm all about the scores now. Decisives don't matter to me.
get the A's up.
That's the Scottish Cecilia over it.
Like that.
Good luck this weekend for you as well, Stishy boy. I'll see you in Challenger for the sounds of it.
Yeah. Oh, I'll probably see you in London, Quinny, on the weekend, won't I? I'm going to see you down in London.
I'll see you on Friday. Of
course, mate.
Yeah.
Let's get the cocktails on ice.
Cocktails on ice, mate. Tequila sunrise for me.
Let's do it.